Hi, Hades from AggroGamer here with another video review, this time for White Knight. White Knight is an interesting narrative-driven survival horror game set in the jazz noir era of the 1930s. It blends together third-person action with a little bit of exploration, a little puzzle solving, all in a survival horror kind of setting. Interesting part about it is it's in a black and white with a few different colors mixed in, kind of look to it, as well, while you as the player investigate a shadowy mansion after you've survived a near-fatal crash. While going through the mansion, you uncover some of the nightly terrors of it, as well as figure out what happened with the manor's torturous past. Without further ado, let's get into what I loved, hated, and all in all about White Knight. White Knight feels and plays a little bit, not a lot of it slow at the very beginning of the game. I really did not like the fact that you kind of move at a hovel, even though I understand your character is at a hovel. You have to figure out your first few puzzles moving at this speed, and it's not until a little bit further into the game that you can actually pick up speed. It was hard for me to get into the game due to this fact. I played further into the game nonetheless, but it did not have a good pickup and a good start. It was very, very slow, and I think this is going to turn off a lot of players out there who kind of want to get in and find out something interesting. But when you spend 20 minutes walking from one side of the map to the other while you're trying to explore and find the puzzle piece to open a front door, it doesn't seem like it's good enough to catch the player and draw them in.
My mind didn't belong to me anymore.
Another thing that I didn't find all that thrilling about the game is the horror aspects of the game didn't feel all that frightening. Most of the scares or even the tension that was building up, to me, seemed kind of easy to spot, as there was a lot of, tension building up to it, to where when the actual horror part or the jump scare happened, it kind of just got brushed off as it was there. When you're coming to horror games, you want to be scared, you want to be sweating, you want to be shaking, you want to have to turn the lights on if you're playing at nighttime. And unfortunately for me, the horror elements for White Knight just were not there, or they were not strong enough, mixed in with the overall narrative story of the horrors behind everything in the mansion that you're going through.
In the tumult of the accident. Where am I?
I will say, I do love the black and white setting and coloration for the game. Other games have pulled it off very well, others not so much. White Knight pulls off the look and feel of having almost everything black and white and kind of a flat cartoon color insanely well, to where everything just looks like a silhouette or an overly bright light. It's a really cool effect, and it's really well done here, and I applaud also OSome, I believe is how you pronounce it, studios for what they did here. It is interesting, and it adds a new element in to where not all video games or horror games need to be about the gore and how creepy everything can look with the fantastical colors. This one had two colors and a few shades of other colors mixed in, and still looked amazing and added a lot to the overall game, even though it felt slow. Another thing I loved about it was it felt like the learning curve was insanely low on this game. Once you actually got in, moving about, the game didn't punish you for taking your time to learn it. It also didn't punish you if you flew right through it and knew what you were doing. The control scheme, everything just kind of worked, as well as the progression of the overall story and levels. I love when games do this. It makes them so much more fun to play once you're actually in and going about the game. Once again, great job on that, because mixed in with the great visuals, this blends together, making White Knight a fun and interesting game to play. In the end, it's a bit of a toss-up on whether or not I personally recommend you to pick up White Knight. I had issues getting into the game because of how slow the opening was to it. If you're one of those players, but you still really want to try out White Knight, I do recommend it. It's just really hard to get into, and it's really, really slow at the beginning. At least it felt so to me, and I could see many of my viewers and followers seeing the same thing and experience it. If you do take the chance to pick up White Knight, definitely force yourself through a little bit, which is sad to say you have to do, but once you start getting into the nitty-gritty of White Knight picks up very well, even though some of the jump scares and horror aspects are a little on the light side, which works out well when you mix it together with other huge titles and other horror titles that are coming out. This one could still be a horror game, but not have you on the edge of your seat, biting your nails, dripping in sweat. White Knight was developed and published by OSome Studios on March 3rd, 2015. It is currently available for the PS4, Xbox One, PC, Windows, and Mac. Like I said, I had a great time playing it. I recommend it for some players out there, not all. And this is Hades from AggroGamer. Happy gaming.